Well, if I may take you back to the very beginning, or perhaps just before the start of Procol Harum, you were in, obviously you were in the Paramount, quite a respected sort of rhythm and blues based British band. You toured with notable bands such as the Stones and the Beatles. Why did you abandon the Paramounts, or why did the Paramounts stop, and how did Procol Harum emerge from that?
Well, the Paramounts, I mean, that was my first band, just about anyway, not totally first band, but we were all together, and we turned professional in 1963. In other words, we said, we are going to do this. We're not going to get proper jobs or anything. And we all committed ourselves to doing that. Although there was nothing in the future particularly, but we did actually get a contract with EMI at that point, 1963, and had a first single in 1964, which scraped into the charts. A couple more sort of hovered around here and there, but you got a lot of television appearances. You know, you'd be on Thank You Lucky Stars, or I can't remember what else. Beat Club, I think, was a new BBC Two series, and you know, and of course live appearances were very big. We had made friends with the Stones at some point very early on, from being on a gig together. I remember we actually played with the Stones on the day that Come On, which was their first single. Yes. When that came out, we did a gig together, and in fact, all hell broke loose, and the biggest fight that Deal had ever seen broke out between the local Marines and a gang that the Cray brothers had sent down to sort them out. I mean, it was a bloody affair, and we were cowering in the dressing room, me and Mick and Bill Wyman, looking out the window, seeing people almost kill themselves, you know. But it gave us a bit of time before we could actually, or before we had to wait until all the killing had stopped. We did have a chat, and they'd said, "Oh, we, you know, love the band, love the band." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, the Stones are pretty good too. You know, it's Brian Jones and everything." Yeah. They were marvellous, and they gave the Paramounts a lot of. They recommended us for the jobs that they couldn't do, because suddenly Come On was in the charts, and they were doing bigger things, and their little old R&B clubs they were doing, they couldn't do anymore. So they put the Paramounts up for those, and then when they started big national tours in the big theatres, we were supporting the Stones somewhere down there, you know, and the same thing with the Beatles, I think, although it might have helped that Brian Epstein was also our manager at one point. We were with Nems Entertainments, which was Brian Epstein's company, and we ended up on the Beatles, 1965. In fact, their last UK tour, Paramounts were on that. You know, they were both great experiences, if you like a lot of screaming girls.